What's going on, good people? Um, it's been a long 2 days for me. If you're not in the mood for a long video, you might want to not watch this one, but I hope you do. I think I've got a lot to say on this, and it'll probably take a minute to get it all out. There's going to be a lot of detail, so, bear with me. I'll start out with a shirt that I'm wearing. This is designed by my sister, Nerolita. I will leave her information in the comment section, or the title or whatever of this video, so y'all can check her out, support her. And I thought it was appropriate to wear this shirt today as opposed to my Stark Naked Truth shirt, because what I have to talk about is related to me versus me. And if you check out the symbology here, you see this Miss Me is broken and shattered and trying to come together, where the aftermath is a whole me. It's a journey I've been on for quite some time, several years. I've talked about this before, so I won't bore you all with it again, but it's a journey that I have not completed. It's everlasting. And I encourage you all to take a look inside yourself, find those things, those flaws, those faults of yours. Stop worrying about everyone else. Start worrying about yourself and fix you. It's probably been the best thing I've done in my life, is fix me. But I'm still working on it. So here's the story. So I've said it, divorced twice. Each one was a different situation, and the one I'm referring to is the last divorce, which is a couple of years now. Certain bits of maturity haven't allowed me to just get past certain things. I won't detail that because that is her and I's business. But certain things have transpired, and I just had trouble getting past them, but eventually did. There was one thing, though, that's been eating at me, and it is related to the cat that she's dealing with now. Now, I'll preface this by saying he's done nothing to me. I don't have any particular gripe or beef with dude. He just happens to be a casualty of war, if you will. I'll fast forward the story a little bit. So about 2 years ago, my ex and one of my daughters took a trip out of the country, and as any father should do, I did, and I made myself completely available to my little one who was not on the trip. For me, that meant after work, picking her up from summer camp, making sure she ate, was bathed, had a good time, whatever it took. That was my routine. And then one day I go to pick her up, and I call to find out if her grandfather or someone else was picking her up, because I was a little early, and a lot of story behind it, but not necessary fillers. But anyway, I called, and to my surprise, I was told that this cat, who to this point I had never met, I don't even recall if I've ever seen him before, but I'd never met him. He had picked up my daughter. I was furious, to say the least, because I know people always say, "Oh, don't mess with my kids. You mess with my kids, I'll do this and I'll do that." I'm really that guy. Don't do anything that makes me feel like my children are in danger. You're putting my children in danger, because at that point it's gloves come off, and we do what we have to do. That's how I'm built. Anyway, I found out where they were. I went and I confronted him, and it was not pleasant. It was not pleasant. He definitely had a look of shock on his face, and I didn't make it. Well, I should say I made it clear that he messed up. But what came out of the short conversation, if you want to call it that, him and I had, was he had gotten permission from my daughter's mom. And I explained to him that as a man, and you guys chime in on this at some point too, I want your comments on this. I said to him, as a man who is engaging in whatever activity with another man's children, I think it was necessary, or you should have thought it necessary, to at least know who that father is, what he's about, if that's okay. Now, I'm not on the old, if you move on, you can't have anyone around my kids kind of deal. I'm not on that. But I think that the common courtesy is to let me know the who's and what's, because you're putting my children's safety and care in someone else's hands. Knowing the way that I care for them, I need to know that someone else has the same interests. I'll never say someone else can do the same, but at least has the same interests. That's enough for me. So anyway, we had this confrontation. And I'm going to go on record to say that I was the one being confrontational. Again, he was caught off guard. Mostly, I think, because he thought he was in the right, being that he had mom's permission. So again, I told him that that's not something we're going to do ever again. That him and I need to have a formal introduction before we move any further with this. Okay. So fast forward to another time, and I don't know if this time was before or after this particular incident. I don't remember. I think it was after, but I can't be sure. But anyway, again, the mom, in a previous life, when we had our first daughter, there was an incident where she decided that her ex-boyfriend was to come to the house where we were living so they could discuss a matter that they hadn't cleared up. And I'm okay with that. I was okay with that, but the problem was it was Father's Day. And it happened to be the first Father's Day for my daughter, who's now 18. It happened to be the first Father's Day that we were having together. And I felt some kind of way about that. I think most men would have felt a way, but personally, and I don't say this with malice, I don't care. That's how anyone else thought. That's how I thought. How I felt. I didn't think that was appropriate for that day. It could have been the next day. It could have been the day before. But in any event, it happened. Me trying to be open-minded with things, I let it happen. But I did tell her, let's put a time limit on this. Let's not make this an all-day thing. We'll go an hour ahead, and they're still down in the hallway, chatting and laughing it up. And I'll admit, I was pretty pissed off. Again, because you decided to take care of this business at that point in time, a special time for me, which should have been a special time for you, for our daughter. Just overall, I felt overall disrespected. What did I do? I thought I did what was right. I called down to the bottom of the stairs and I said, hey, I think it's time for this to break up, and we can get back to doing what we're doing. And it was received with sort of an arrogant kind of chuckle. And 20 years ago, a chuckle like that set me right off. But because I was trying, I said, I'll give it a second. So I walked back inside, went back out 20 minutes later, or something to that effect. It seemed like that. Said, all right, that's enough. I'm done. Shorten the story a little bit. She said something. I said something to her. Dude just looked at me the wrong way, and that was all it took. I was down at the bottom of the stairs, ready for a physical confrontation, and had it not been for my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, it could have gotten ugly. What I ended up doing is getting in my car and driving off for a while. So that was averted. So where this comes into play is fast forwarding back now to the time with the present guy, who is actually her boyfriend. They've been together for a little bit now, and I respect that. She attempted to introduce him to me again on Father's Day. Now, we're not together, but I had my daughters for the weekend, and I was dropping them off because it happened to be a celebration for their grandfather's birthday. And there's another story behind that. And I'll give you the very short version. I was invited, uninvited, and then invited again. So it left a real sour taste in my mouth. I knew he was going to be there, but I was willing to accept that and just move on. Anyway, she attempted to introduce him to me again, kind of on the fly. And I will say the brother put his hand out for me to shake it, and I denied it. I said, no, I'm not shaking your hand. And I told her, you crazy for even trying to make this happen. Again, remnants of what happened at that point, 17 years or maybe 16 years prior. Yeah, 16 years prior. I was still hot about that. And now here we go, deja vu. So anyway, that killed the opportunity for, so that handshake situation on Father's Day, that happened prior to the incident where I confronted him with my youngest after summer camp. And now the story makes sense. So after him and I had the confrontation, again, it wasn't really a confrontation. It was more of a heated conversation. And I think I know I was more heated than he was. He was more in shock that I had even approached him in the manner that I did. Anyway, she came back home a day later, and she confronted me. Still upset at what went on in terms of her making arrangements and not letting me know and so on and so forth. I was angry, to say the least. And I let her know it in all kinds of ways. And though she tried to defend herself, I didn't allow that to take precedent. It was about me and how I felt, and you were going to hear it and hear it clearly. But needless to say, it was nothing resolved. She heard what I had to say. I heard what she attempted to say. But the point we were trying to get to of a proper introduction with me and this gentleman didn't happen. So now here we are 2 years from that particular time. And here we go again. I've seen him on occasion. He's seen me on occasion. But the thing is, neither of us ever really looks one another in the eye. I'll look his way. He'll turn away. And then for me, that's enough. Now, I'm not judging dude. I'm not, calling him a punk or anything like that. I just think that his thought of confrontation is not as vivid as mine. I'm still working on me. So in order to prevent any confrontation, he takes the high road and he looks the other way. And I can appreciate that. So just 2 days ago, she was away again, meeting my ex. I went to the house to catch my daughter after school because my oldest daughter is now away in college. So I went to catch her after school to hang out with her for a bit. And as I pull up, dude is in front of the house. So it was real awkward. I didn't have to, but it made sense where I was going. I pulled up beside him, I paralleled beside him to park behind him. And you all know if you drive that, as you pull parallel to somebody, you kind of look over, you see each other, and you back on in. And even on occasion, as you walk past the parked car, you'll, acknowledge one another. Well, we didn't do any of that. And I could see as I pulled up and he acknowledged that I was the one beside him, he went from a pretty, I would say, happy demeanor to the stone face. And I had mine on as well now at this point. But I walked on his side, went about my business, and that was that. So as I'm up hanging out with my daughter, I mentioned something and I said, he's outside. He's got mommy's car. I guess he's going to the airport to get her. And a short conversation ensued with me and my 10-year-old. And I don't remember exactly what I said to her. I don't say anything crazy to my children about anything adult, if you will. But I said to her, I said something to her, and her response to me was, well, Daddy, you can either not say anything at all, and just let things be what they are. This is my 10-year-old. She said, or you can start a conversation with him. And I said, in my head, who is this child? And quickly realized she's mine. She's her mother's. And I dismissed the conversation at that point. Now went on about my business. So I get home and I'm restless. I'm tired, but I'm restless. I go to sleep and I have a dream. And the dream is about my younger brother who passed away 30 plus years ago. Someone I was very close to. And one of the things in my dreams that I've had about him, related to him, inclusive of him, over the years, is it's always been a pleasant kind of, loving kind of dream where, I can talk to him about how I miss him and, loved him and all those kind of things. Well, this dream was the complete opposite, and one that I had never had. In this dream, him and I were fighting. There was no introduction. We just started fighting. And we fought with my youngest daughter in the car. The only difference at that point, she was about 3 years old. And my brother was trying to get these keys from me. I don't know what the keys were for. I don't know what they belonged to, but he was trying to get these keys from me. And we're in the car. I ended up stopping the car. I ran inside the school, dropped my daughter off, came back to the car where I left my brother. The car was there, still running, but he was gone. And I couldn't figure out what the heck happened. And even in my dream, I'm confused, like, yo, are we really fighting? Like, what just happened? So I speak to a loving friend of mine, someone whose opinions and insight I truly, truly respect and appreciate. And as I spoke to her about my dream, she went on to say, let me think about this a little bit. And I'm not going to go into the total detail, but what she said is, it seems symbolic of my brother trying to tell me there's things I need to let go of. There's the key to my happiness is going to be letting go of things that I've been holding on to for a while. Holding on to the memories of him that may not. This is my addition to her statement, that may not let him rest the way his spirit and soul needs to rest. She just translated to saying, he's telling you have the keys to unlock your own happiness and get past a lot of this stuff. And I thought I'd been doing that for a long, long time, but apparently I haven't. I've been holding on to some things, and that thing is this relationship with my ex and her new partner. So I was at the house, her house. He doesn't live with her. Yesterday evening, and taking my daughter to her karate class. And when I came back, her and I were going through some financial stuff for my daughter. She was actually helping me with some things, and I appreciate that of her, because I'm sure she'll see this video. She doesn't think I appreciate things she does do, but I do appreciate that. But as we concluded what we were doing, it just dawned on me to stop and say something to her about the situation. Now, before I say that, I'll go back a step and say, earlier in the day, I'd spoken to the idea of talking about or confronting this guy. And I don't mean confront in a negative, just, him and I finally having to sit down and let's get this sorted out. So anyway, I shared that with my ex, and she was in shock. She was in total shock. She was in shock because she knows me. She really is in tune with the hothead side of me. She doesn't know the calm, relaxed me. I'm not going to go into a whole lot as to why, but I just feel like maybe she never wanted to see it, or maybe during our time together, she got more of that me than the me since. She got more of this me and not this me. Oh, Lee, did you realize this is right over your heart? I don't think you realized that. Anyway, yeah, so she was shocked to hear me say that. I know her thoughts was this was going to be a confrontation if these two ever get together, because as she explained to me, we're both of the same sign. We're both Libras, both very stern, strong-minded. I'm going to assume he has an alpha male mentality, as do I. So there's no give. So she was shocked, and I explained to her some of the things and some of the reasons why I decided that this was time to get it happening, get this thing out the way or under control, and she wholeheartedly agreed. I did tell her that I think she plays a big part in why it hasn't happened, and she needs to know that. She needed to know that. I'm gonna say she's in denial, but I'm not speaking negative. No one wants to be accused of anything negative, but I think she'll think about it and see where better efforts could have been made on her part, even if it was about scolding me, if you will, getting at me for not accepting the introductions, or even explain to him, that he needed to understand how I felt and how I am with my children, how I felt as their father, and her not giving him the information that he needed. So she played a part in it, but you know what? We're talking a couple of years ago now, and I'm over it. Where we at? I told her, I suggested to her that she speak to him and let him know that I said it's time. It's time that this water goes under the bridge and stays there. Keeps flowing, I should say. And him and I have to move on, because the reality of it is, when he's there with her, that's his partner, that's her partner, that's their domain. I don't have any say over that. My children are there. I go there with a purpose, and that's to pick up, drop off, spend time, whatever it is. That's my job. That's my duty. My duty is not to be combative with anyone there, anyone at that home. So she said, willfully and happily, that she is going to let him know. I told her that I'm open to meeting whatever time and place he wants to, so he can feel comfortable. Again, he doesn't know where I'm coming from, and because I'm ready to kind of put this one to rest, I'm willing to take the extra step and go where he's comfortable, and do what needs to be done. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that I expect me and that man to be friends. I'm not denying the possibilities, but I'm not saying that's my expectation. My only expectation is that, well, my expectation, I won't say my only, one of my expectations, is that him and I get an understanding of where the other is coming from. I'll let him speak his piece and be respectful. I anticipate and expect the same. There's going to be more than likely several points that we're going to disagree on, and I'm okay with that. But we have to agree to do that and figure out either at that moment how to get past it, around it, work with it, or at least we have to understand that we need to keep those things in the front of our heads. And if we're going to move on in being able to relate to one another, that we keep the knowledge of those things in the forefront. So I'm hoping something good will come out of this. No, I know something good will come out of this. And that'll be the end of that. And the last part of this, why I did this video, is because as I'm on the phone last night, things around the house, different noises and just all kinds of things were happening as I'm sitting here watching TV. And I'm a believer in the universe and the spiritual realm, that things are happening around us that keep us in line if we're listening. And as I'm hearing these things, and feeling these things, the first thing that was suggested to me was, you know what, it's time for you to get your sage back out. And I saged. I put on my white candle. I burned my white candle. You all can do your own research. And I walked around the house, setting intentions, saying a couple of prayers, making a couple of statements about what needs to happen, what doesn't need to happen, in and outside of my apartment, in my relationships, all of them, any kind of relationship, personal to work to business, doesn't matter, all of them. And one thing I did was I fell asleep almost instantly with the sage burning, with incense burning, with my white candle burning, something I have never done. Compared to the previous night where I slept maybe 3 hours and then I was up and so tired yesterday I could barely drive, I fell asleep around 11:30, I guess, and I slept straight through to about 4:30, which for me was good. But I slept hard. I slept good. I slept deep. And I believe it's all because I released to my ex what I needed to get out of me in terms of my getting in front of her boyfriend. I like to say boyfriend. Her partner. So we can get past this. So I know with the little ritual and with my intentional statements and thoughts, the universe saw it fit for me to get a good night rest. So, almost 30 minutes. I swear I didn't mean it to go this long. Please, you all, comment. I want to hear what you have to say about this. It's important to me because, again, in this journey, I'm still learning. I learn from you all, and I hope you learn from me. I hope I open up a lot of doors and thoughts and conversations for you to have. Again, please comment below. You guys know how to reach me on all social media. It's the Starke, STARKE, the Starke Naked Truth. I have a website of the same name, YouTube, Instagram. Point some people my way. People want to conversate. People want to just kind of vent. Let's put it out there. Let's get it done. This is what we're here for. Men, brothers, you especially. I don't know many of you that are going to do or can do what I just did. Now, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but I know this is a challenge for me. Again, I'm putting my whole self out there, but I've learned that putting myself out there can help a couple of people, because as men, we do not know how to confront situations oftentimes without being confrontational. And what do I want to do? I want to see us winning at manhood. So brothers, and I say brothers meaning men of all colors, we have to do better. So check me out, social media, Starke Naked Truth, and maybe, who knows, you'll come hang out with me on my show. That's it. That's all I have to say. Peace and blessings.